is as far as being an online resume. What are your thought processes as far as individuals getting onto LinkedIn and really honing in on what that looks like for future employees to be looking at?
I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I think that it is just such a wealth of information, and it gives us all, anyone who has a profile, it gives us access to so much information that we didn't previously have. And so if you don't have one, I recommend getting a profile and getting it started. I won't lie to you, like getting your profile up and running per se, filling out the profile and starting to build out your connections, probably not the most fun. It takes a little bit of time, but the payoff to having that, I do think is worth it. And I also feel like having a LinkedIn profile, having your profile built out, it's something that, like, a year from now, you won't regret having one. But a year from now, you will regret having not started one, type of thing. So if you're in that spot, like, it's okay to not have, this beautiful profile built out, but definitely get it started. Future you will thank you for that. So that's my little pitch there. But I think LinkedIn is just such a powerful tool from that information gathering standpoint, being able to see, like, how have other people done it? How have they made those pivots between industries, between entrepreneurship and corporate America? How have they moved up at a certain company or moved around and that type of thing? When did they do that? What does their job even look like? I have a lot of conversations with people, especially right now in kind of their late 20s, early 30s, who have kind of been working for a little bit and kind of having now this realization of, they're like, no one ever told me that, like, a business analyst was a job, right? Or like, what even does this do? Like, these job titles. And we're only going to continue to see a rapid change in, like, what job titles are available as our world changes and technology changes and needs for jobs change and all of that. And so LinkedIn is such a wonderful place where if there is a job title that you're like, I've never even heard of that, or what even is that thing? We can look at real humans who are doing that and read about what they're doing. And that's one of my favorite things about LinkedIn. Like, you can Google anything and find an answer, but there's just a lack of practicality to it when you're reading like the WikiHow page or something, telling you what a job is versus looking at someone's actual career trajectory and how they've moved into that field. So that's one piece of it. The other thing too is that it is more or less an expectation that you have a presence on LinkedIn, and where 10 or 12 years ago, there was a lot of talk in the news and all of that employers were going to look you up on social media and they were going to find your Facebook page, right? And like your worst photos from college on there and that type of thing, and all of that. And that is not so much the case anymore, that's happening. But there is an expectation then that you will be on LinkedIn and that this online presence, this online resume will be there. So important to have it for that, but also important, I think, because there's just less restrictions to LinkedIn than we have on like a physical resume. There's some wiggle room with like formatting and all of that on a physical resume, but there is just more space online. On your LinkedIn profile, we can scroll through and include things that maybe don't make the cut for a resume. And so people can get a more holistic picture of what you're doing. It can also be a space where they're seeing other things that aren't maybe work related, but that you still want to showcase. And so including side projects that you're working on or volunteer work that you've done, projects, interviews like this, and that type of thing can all kind of live in this one space, which I think is a really huge benefit of the platform as well, and kind of giving a potential employer or a potential client that holistic picture of who you are and the value that you bring.
Definitely. What would you say is the number one mistake that you see people making on LinkedIn?
Mm. The number one mistake would be not using it, is like the biggest one. For people who are actually using it, I think the number one mistake is that on LinkedIn, you have your name, and right under your name, a statement comes up. It's auto-filled by LinkedIn, and it's called your headline. And I think for people who use the platform, the number one mistake is that they don't update their headline. They let LinkedIn kind of auto-fill it with their job title. instead of customizing it. And in my opinion, it's one of the most powerful pieces of the profile. In the same way that right here, you all can see our names and our websites, like it's there, you know where to find us, boom. It's a similar type of thing on LinkedIn where it's that line right under your name, and it just gives you the ability to share what you want with someone and to kind of introduce yourself to someone with the titles, words, phrases, etc. that describe you before they even click on your profile. So it can give someone, again, kind of that full picture of who you are. So that'd be my number one mistake for people who are actually using the platform.
I wonder what mine says. What does yours say?
Mine says something I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something along the lines of like career coach, helping others make their next career move, subscriber of Happenstance, podcast host, fan of lunch walks, I think is mine, not in that order. But what I hope is a nice overview, a lot of things that were in my bio that you read, a nice overview of who I am, the things I like to do, and all of that.
So the like description underneath my name, LinkedIn autofills that for people?
Yeah, so it'll autofill that typically based on either what your current job title is, or if you're a student, it may say like student at whatever university. It'll autofill that. It'll ask you if you want to update it, and a lot of people just don't update it. But you can customize that to be more specific to you.
Wow. So this little spot where I have 4 lines of description, that part is autofilled by LinkedIn. So people just have just some random thing from like all this words right here I have written down.
Yeah, so that's your headline. Yep.
Look at there's us.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's funny that we can see ourselves on there.
Yeah,
So that's your headline. So you've customized yours to kind of give that overview of what you do and who you are. And some people, if they don't update that, it would just say like career coach at whatever company, or teacher at whatever school, student at whatever school, business analyst at Google, or something like that. But you can go in and update that and really then give people an overview of who you are and what's important to you. And you can also include some fun things in there. You know, like I put that I'm a fan of lunch walks. I do that almost every day. But I've worked with other people who've put really fun things in their headline too, to like add a little bit of personality to it and to showcase more of who they are than just like a job